Well, I'm on the farm today out here at the wood pile, and I've got what I believe to be a great farm knife. I bought it here the other day, and I thought I'd show it to you. Let's see if I can get that thing open without chopping my finger off. So what we got here is a Case Sod Buster, and this is the full size Sod Buster. I don't know if you can see that or not. And they make a Sod Buster Junior, and I've been looking at these knives for a while, and you can see how it sort of fits in my hand. And like I say, I've been looking at these knives for a while, and I wanted something to kind of carry in my pocket and use up here on the farm, cutting twine and things like that, even fertilizer bags. This one is stainless steel, and if you do a search on the internet, these type knives, this design goes back a long ways. And so the very fact that, you know, farmers use this knife, that the name of it is Sod Buster, all that kind of resonates with me. And I just thought, well, you know, they're not very expensive, so I thought I'd add one, but it is a pretty quality knife. And I've been using, and I'll probably still use, these box cutters here. But the problem with the box cutter, and I buy these at Harbor Freight, they're like $1 a piece. The problem with them is the plastic degradates. I guess that's how you say it. If it gets any sun at all, this plastic can bust out, and you can have a dangerous situation with the knife exposed, with that sharp edge exposed. And moreover, it's the cheapest steel ever. And when you use one of these on a fertilizer bag, which I do, to cut open, I mean, they rust. There's no prevent. You can soak it in oil and it's still going to rust. I think it would rust in the oil. And so, I don't know, I'll probably still keep some of these around and use them. And mostly because myself, true to form, I'll set this thing down somewhere, and when I need it the most, I won't be able to find it. But it's not a lock back. I would have preferred a knife with a lock back, but you know, Sod Buster's not put on lock back knives, and I want that connection to farming. But what it does have, I think that's what this is what it's called, a bolster. And the purpose of that, in amongst other things, from what I've read, is if for whatever reason this knife were to fold up, you see how it folds up against that blunt bolster on my finger, and not, you know, like right here. The Sod Buster Junior, this is about half as long. The Sod Buster Junior probably fits in your pocket a little bit better, but I don't know, this just seems like a good knife for a farm. Now, I really didn't buy this for protection. You know, I don't know if you remember G. Gordon Liddy. He's the guy that engineered the Watergate break-in that ultimately took down President Nixon. And anyway, he commented one time, unlike a gun, a knife is always loaded. So I have no desire to shoot anybody or to stab anybody with a knife, because, you know, it probably, you'd ruin the life of the guy you shot or stabbed, but it would ruin your life too, because the litigation, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if you were in the right and it was 100% self-defense. They'd still find a way with our justice system, the way it works, in my opinion, it favors the guilty, not the victims, and they still find a way to, you know, just ruin your life, if nothing else, financially. And then, of course, who wants that memory in the back of their minds as long as they lived about whether it was justified or not, you know, stabbing somebody? Obviously, in defense, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But oddly enough, the day I bought this knife, my wife and I went to the big city, and we pulled into a restaurant, and you know, it was adjacent to not a great neighborhood, but there was a lot of there was a shopping center, and you know, if you drive a few miles or even a mile to the east or the west or north or south, it's probably not a good place to be in those neighborhoods after dark if you just want to go out and walk the dog and have a smoke or something. So we pulled into the parking lot and of the restaurant. They weren't very busy at all, and I opened the door, and before I knew it, there was a guy, had his hand on the door, left hand on the door and his right hand on the roof of the car, and had his head pretty much almost into the car door. And he was just like crazy, you know, blathering all kinds of words. You know, I just got a job, you know, I had some orientation, you know, I did this, and somebody was supposed to meet me here. I was thinking he wanted to ride somewhere. This all happened in a split second. And then he said, you know, I haven't had anything to eat, and I'm just wondering if you got $5. I'm really hungry. And, you know, my wife handed me a $5 bill right quick, and I gave it to him, and he left, and he ran off away from any restaurant. He was probably going to find him some drugs, but he looked like he'd been eating good. I can't say he was a beanpole, but I had this knife in my pocket, and I thought to myself later, if he'd have pulled me out of the car, and he could have pulled me out of the car and jumped in and took off with that car and my wife. And if he'd have pulled me out of that car, I knew I had that pocket knife in my pocket, and I believe I could have either fended him off or maybe scared him, you know, to get away from us. And so, you know, in this day and age, it's probably not a bad idea to have a pocket knife with you. I guess just don't walk through an airport with it. But I hope I never encounter a circumstance where I have to use it like that. But here on the farm, I think I got a pretty good pocket knife, and I just thought I'd share that with you today. The Case Sod Buster. We'll talk to you later.